Hello everyone, Happy New Year, happy New Year. This is the year 2021 is upon us. I hope that you guys had, first of all, I want to wish you Happy New Year. Second, I want to say that I hope that each and every one of you that will hear the sound of my voice and see me on television, see me on Facebook, did have a wonderful Christmas and didn't party too much last night. And if you did party too much, drink tons and tons of water. But in any case, I am Robbe Hardnette coming to you today with CX Talkcast. That's the buzz name for it this year. We're going to call it the CX Talkcast. And I'm coming to you live from Vancouver, BC. And I have a lot to talk about today, a lot. But first, before I get into that, I want to say who are we? Who, what, and why? Those are the three things that I always like to start with. Who, what, and why? Well, who? We are CompassX.org, an online platform dedicated to providing tools to navigate life. Who am I? I am Robbe Hardnette. I am a certified life coach, counselor, actor, and entrepreneur. But when I come to you with CX Talkcast, I always come to you as a life coach and a counselor. I want to talk to you. Why? Who, what, and why? Why is because I think 2020 kind of sums it up best. 2020 threw us a lot of curves, but I think it was just the beginning of sort of preparing us for life itself. Life itself throws tons of curves, and it's always difficult. And CX goal is to have tons and tons of references, content, books, and everything else that can help you get through. It's like having your personal life coach, where you can just go to CompassX.org. You can look up some of the tools there. You can download those for free. So that's the who, what, and why of why we come to you every Tuesday, 1 o'clock, and every Friday at 1 o'clock. So today is a special edition because before I had said I wasn't going to do the holidays, but I just thought it would be befitting that I pop in just for a little bit today and kind of give you some updates. I have a lot to talk about, so I don't want to spend too much time because I want to try and get through this. First of all, as far as 2020, I want to honor a lot of people that actually made a difference in my life in some form or another, whether it was directly or indirectly. I want to talk about, from a music perspective, I want to talk about Bill Withers. He passed away this past year, so I want to honor him. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. That's Bill Withers, for those of you who are wondering who Bill Withers is. Very famous. That song is used in tons of commercials and movies as well. Barbara Martin, who was with the Supremes. Kenny Rogers. Many of you know Kenny Rogers in movies, and a great singer, songwriter. Little Richard, Bunny Ponter, which with the Ponter sisters. Bruce Alice Williams was with the Temptations. Ronald Bell with Kool and the Gang. Van Halen, we all know Van Halen. Helen Reddy, very classic singer. Johnny Nash. Johnny Nash wrote that very famous song. Many of you know. Charlie Pride And the first black country western singer. He paved the way for those artists that there was many country western, black country western artists, but he was the first one that made it. So I want to just honor those guys. In politics, I want to honor a few people. I want to honor Mr. John Lewis, who was the good trouble guy, who was a major figure in the civil rights era. And then Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which was, many of you may know who she was. She passed away this past year. The notorious Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was one of the first people who was in as a Supreme Court judge who actually kind of went into a major pop figure. And so I want to honor her. Mr. C.T. Vivian, also, who was in the civil rights movement back. I want to honor him. He passed away this past year. I want to honor a few people who made some monumental changes within the world. It actually, along with the COVID, it brought a major attention to the focus of our eyes. And that was George Floyd. We all know about that. George Floyd died right before our eyes. And it was like an explosion that took place in America and across the world. It brought the awareness to the suffering and the plight of the black community. And I think it's very important to also honor these individuals. Whatever you may think about who he was or what he was, it was not necessary to see a man die like that. So I want to honor him. I want to Rayshard Brooks. I want to honor Breonna Taylor. She was a first responder, but again, she died. It's kind of difficult talking about that, but again, I won't go into the depths of it because it's very difficult, but I do want to honor. From the acting standpoint, I want to honor Kirk Douglas because I loved Kirk Douglas movies. You know, when he played the Viking and many other things. And also Mr. Chadwick Boseman. I want to honor him. I want to actually just talk in depth about him and the other sports figure that I want to honor, which is Kobe Bryant. But let me start with Chad Boseman. The gentleman knew that he had the cancer, but it didn't stop his life. And that, I want to have that segue into what I'm going to talk about in terms of today. If you are told something that means the end of your life, is that the end of your life? Or is that the beginning? As an example, COVID. COVID this past year came upon us in such a huge way, and it affected everyone across the spectrum of the world. I appreciated COVID to a certain degree. Let me just talk about that. The reason why I did is because it flatlined everybody. That's why we were able to take a look at what took place with Mr. George Floyd. We were able to look at that in a different way. It wasn't the first time a person had passed away and died in a manner that was just notorious. But because we were all flatlined with COVID, it allowed us to see and to feel and to be affected by that. So I appreciate COVID from that standpoint. We still have the battle to fight with it. But my point in bringing that up is that we were faced, just like Mr. Boseman was faced with being told that we have an obstacle in front of us. COVID is an obstacle. He had the cancer as an obstacle in front of him. Did he lay down and die? Did he woe is me? No, he went on to do several major movies. And in that way, I want to encourage you for 2021 to look at that. Not that someone has to summon you that you're going to be passing away. Don't look at it in that way. I want you to look at it that it should touch you in such a way that it makes you want to be like a ship that sets out to sail. And you plan where you want to go. And you do the daily work to reach that goal. That's part of what we like to talk to you about with Compass X. And so it's very important. I just think it's very important to bring up that. And also Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. We want to honor him as well. Because if you look at Kobe Bryant, this guy was so determined with his life. He was so determined in sports. In fact, when you listen to some of the sports figures talk about Kobe Bryant, they said it was almost like he was just like get on your nerve because he's pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Well, you know what? There was a reason. There was an inner subconscious push for him to reach the maximum of who he was, because destiny would call him later. But in the midst of living his life from a day to day, he planned, he daily worked, he was persistent, he was focused, and his mission was positive. It wasn't just being aggravated from the standpoint of getting on your nerves. It was because he was driving everyone around him to be their best, because that's what he was wanting to do of himself. So I'm encouraging you for the new year to take a look at 2021. Look at some of the things that you may have set out in front as goals that you wanted to achieve. And if you did achieve them in 2020, it was not the end. But let's approach 2021 in such a way that we can monitor our success. We can first prepare for our success. Then we can have an attitude about how we want to achieve that, because attitude is everything. And then we want to look at resisting all the negativity that people may say you can't accomplish, or people will say you're not good enough to accomplish. And then we want to execute our plan. We want to execute that plan on a daily basis, getting up, meditating in the beginning, looking at what we want to achieve in that day, in that week, in that month, and eventually in that year, and be dedicated each day to reach that goal. And then we want to follow up. We want to follow up on every aspect of that. Follow up on if you had applied for a job, because many of you may be out there jobless. You want to follow up on that. If you want to follow up on trying to figure out what you want to be, because the economy has changed things, you may be looking at a career change. Then, research. Look at jobs that are being created on the internet. Just a number of things. And then maintenance. Maintenance is very important. Maintenance, because maintenance includes the foods that you eat. It includes that the food, the information that you put in your mind. It includes the surroundings that you have with the people that you're involved with. Maintenance include doing everything possible to maintain the level of what I call high octane to reach that goal. So let me keep up with my notes. Like I said, I have a lot I want to get through today. And I want to talk about the 3 factors of growth. Since we're in 2021, this is, in my opinion, the 3 factors of growth. There's natural growth, there's self-induced growth, and then there's forced growth. I'll start with the latter. forced growth. Forced growth was what we are looking at right now with COVID. It has forced us to make some changes. It has also forced us to look at some things about ourselves that we may or may not like. And in that way, we have the choice to do something about it. Forced growth is something that I like to say, I like to be at the middle of what I call self-induced growth. Self-induced growth is the kind where it's like a Kobe Bryant. It's like a Chad Boseman. They were constantly seeking their abilities upon themselves, from themselves. Yes, things may have forced it, like the cancer that he was pronounced with. It may have pushed him to strive a little bit harder, but he was self-induced to achieve these things. Now, what if you have a lot of things holding you back? Depression, a bad relationship, financial. All of those things are very real. Definitely, those things are very real. But what do you do with those things? You find ways to work around those. What I mean by that, if you have depression, seek help. Don't just sit back and say, oh, I'm fine. Don't do that. Because what I call the self-induced, even if you have depression, if you self-induce wanting to be pushing beyond that, you will seek the help and it will bring you out of that. Or it will have you become more aware of what your levels of ability to work within that depression, and it will allow you to start getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And over a period of time, you can manage that. So that's one level. Financially, okay, let's say financially. So I would Google what's out there right now that needs to be addressed. What's out there right now? How can I help with the first responders? Do I have a car? Can I utilize my car to make me money by working for Amazon, for doing deliveries? There's all kinds of things. So, and that could be temporary. And in the midst of you doing that temporary, why not have your big goal in mind? That big goal might be, I want to be an entrepreneur. Well, you have something that gives you the base, to give you the foundation to move through, and then you still be looking on a daily basis to find where you want to go in that entrepreneur area. Find out what you like. Find out the things that turn you on, and then investigate on that level how you can make money from that. Okay? So, and then there's the natural element. The natural element is just like, okay, this is my life, and things are happening like COVID. Things are happening like this is a new year, and I'm going to float through it. Well, that's okay too. I'm not here to judge anyone. What I am here to do as a life coach and a counselor is to support you at whatever level you're on. And if you're seeking to go beyond that level, then that's where the support comes in from a life coach or from a counselor. Or if you're at a certain bump or a struggle that you can't quite get over, again, that's where they come in and give you that support. So again, the three factors of what I call growth: natural, self-induced, and forced. My question to you that I will leave you with today is, where do you want to be in that level of the trilogy? Do you want to go with the natural and just float it through? Do you want to be self-induced in the natural growth of yourself? That will require lots and lots of work. But I always say, what else do I have to do with my life but work? I'm either going to work for the man, or I'm going to work for myself. Either way, it still boils down to working. So why not be creative with my own self and take all of the things that are required to me to reach those goals? Great people made their accomplishments because they were self-induced. So I'm encouraging for 2021 to be self-induced with your growth rather than a natural process or a forced process. One thing I will say also about the self-induced growth is it will allow you to even move faster to the pace of the natural growth. And it will also be like voices in the night that help you if you're dealing with forced growth, because you will be constantly adapting like a runner, like a football player, like a halfback. He sees a guy coming, he moves to the left to move out of the way. He sees a big crowd coming, then he forces in, pulls the ball in tight and forces right through the line. This is what I'm talking about. Life is no different than that. And where do they learn those things? They either are being coached in some form, or they have learned over a period of time that gave them the ability to know those things. This is what we're talking about. This is what I'm encouraging us to do for the coming year, is to choose which side of where you want to be in the trilogy of what I call the trilogy of growth. Natural, self-induced, or forced. It's always better when you can do it as a self-induced. Natural is nice and easy, nice and calm, relaxing. You sit back and you float on the boat through the waters. But do you really reach the levels that you really want to get out of yourself? At the end of the day, do you know where you're going? At the end of the day, have you accomplished what you want to do? At the end of the day, how do you feel? Do you feel like this is the mission that you're set on? So those are the things that I wanted to just talk to you about. Again, I wanted to encourage everyone for 2021. I wanted to honor those people that I was inspired by in 2020 and made some monumental difference in all of our lives, whether you were inspired by it or not. Everyone that I spoke about today, in some form or another, made a dynamic move within the fabric of the world in some form or another. And that's why I wanted to honor them. So, 2021, here we go. I'll be coming at you on Tuesday with more things. Again, if you'd like to be in touch at compassxlsg@gmail.com. Hit me up with your questions. Hit me up with your antidotes. Hit me up with your ideas. We have a lot coming up this year. In fact, we're going to start our CX talk series, where we're going to be interviewing some individuals that I think can be supportive in your lives. We're going to start with Dr. Piddle and Dr. Davis on the 16th. I will be sending out advertisements and more promotional ads on that this coming year. And each month we will have someone that I will interview on the CX Talk format that I feel that can make a difference in your life, whether it is just talking about something like Dr. Davis and Dr. Piddle will be talking about, Dr. Piddle will be talking primarily about diabetes and how that affects, and how it is also an underlying thing that you may not even know you have. And Dr. Davis will be talking about how the mind affects the body, and how the right foods and nutrition and attitude makes a difference in giving you a much healthier and stronger body. So, and then we will have a career coach that I'll be interviewing. I'll be also interviewing my agent, Sarah Davis, talking about what she looks for in an actor, because who knows what's out there? You never know the powers that you may possess that needs to be discovered, that you need to bring forth within yourself. I say that over and over and over. The subtotal of every individual is the amount of information that they get, and the amount of information that they receive, and the amount of information that they utilize in their day-to-day activity that brings on something totally new within themselves. And that's what we want to do with compassx.org. That's what our online life skill platform is about. That's what our CX Talks will be about on a monthly basis. I will be bringing you some very, very dynamic individuals that many of you will know as being famous, whether it's an actor or a singer, or whether it is a politician. We've got a great lineup for you, and I'll be sending that out to you. I want you to be a part of the 2021 activism of self-change. Remember that. Activism of self-change, of self-empowerment, so that whatever we may face, and let's face it, we do not know. Many go, oh, I'm so happy to see 2020 go because it was a bad year and this year is going to be greater. We also said that in 2019. And lo and behold, we did not know what was coming around the bend. So what I'm telling you is that be prepared for whatever may come, and be part of remember what I said about that 3-part growth. Natural, self-induced, or forced. I'm an advocate for being self-induced growth because it will certainly get you through whatever may come in 2021. And lo and behold, if something comes so tragic that it be death, well, you would have prepared yourself for the next level of growth. So it's never over. It's never over. You just always must believe. So anyway, I've gone past my 30 minutes time. I always like to spend just 30 minutes with you. I just wanted to come in for 2021 for encouragement and talk about let's get it on. Let's make it happen. Like Marvin Gaye say, let's get it on. As always, as I do, in parting, I wish you love, peace, and follow the way. I'm out of here. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day with your families or with yourself, because you are your family. Love yourself.